We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello students, my name is Darshan Sarang. I am working as an assistant professor in SNPIT and RC. Today I am going to deliver one brief lecture on Introduction to Process Design of Distillation Column. This is my content that what we are going to learn in this lecture, that is criteria of selection, selection of equipment, distillation column design, selection of operating pressure and vacuum distillation. The first topic is criteria of selection. Now as we know that in case of distillation, the main selection criteria is relative volatility. So means if the mixture of two components having relative volatility of greater than 1, then it is possible to separate those mixture by using help of distillation operation. Suppose its relative volatility is equal to 1 or it is nearby 1, then it is not possible to separate those mixture. In those case, we need to separate those mixture using azeotropic distillation or extractive distillation. For example, if we have ethanol in water mixture, then it is not possible to separate 99.9% ethanol from that water mixture. So in those case, we need to go for azeotropic distillation or extractive distillation. Here are some example of the various mass transfer operation. For example, we want to separate penicillin from the pharmaceutical complex mixture. Then the only option available to us is liquid-liquid extraction. In next case, suppose we want to remove hydrogen and methane from the aromatic mixture, stripping is only the option. You know that in case of stripping, there is a liquid mixture and when you heat it up, one vapor or gas phase is removed from that liquid mixture. Next is removal of propane from asphalt. That is also example of stripping. Then the separation of hydrogen sulfide from natural gas, absorption is used. So what is absorption? We have gas mixture and from that gas mixture if you want to remove hydrogen sulfide, then one external solvent is used and this hydrogen sulfide will get absorbed in that external solvent and thus separation will occur. And the last one example is the separation of gases from air. We know that air is composed of oxygen, nitrogen, argon, hydrogen. So to separate those components, we cannot use conventional technique and we need to go for the cryogenic distillation, which is a very extreme low temperature distillation operation. Then comes the selection criteria for the equipment of distillation. As we know that distillation can be performed in 2 types of equipment. First one is PEG tower and the other one is tray tower, and we all know about it. So when we use PEG tower and when we use tray tower, so here I have given some points that if you want to carry out distillation at high vacuum or under vacuum, then PEG tower is chosen. And if you want to carry out your operation at high pressure or greater than atmospheric pressure, then tray tower is also useful. Second point, that in PEG tower you will have lower pressure drop, and in case of tray tower you will have higher pressure drop. In case of PEG tower, lower residence time is there, because sometimes it may possible that liquid which is flowing from top of the tower will short circuit its part and its residence time will be lower, but it is not possible in case of tray tower, because liquid which is flowing from the top tray, it will travel from all the tray in series, so it will have to pass from each tray. That is why short circuiting or lower residence time will not be achieved in tray tower. Another criteria is when the tower diameter is low, PEG tower is used, and when the tower diameter is high, tray tower is used. How? Suppose you have very less tower diameter, that is suppose 1 foot. So tower diameter is 1 foot, so you cannot manufacture that 1 foot tray and fit it into tray tower. It is not advisable. But suppose it is 1 foot diameter of the tower, then packing material will be placed in the tower. It will be very easy. Another reason is if tower diameter is low, then liquid will wet all the packing materials inside the PEG tower. That is why if the tower diameter is low, PEG tower is used, and tower diameter is high, then tray tower is used. For corrosive system, it is not advised to use tray tower because trays are made up of materials, metal materials. So it may possible that it may corrode tray material. So in case of corrosive mixture, PEG tower is advised. Next is, suppose you need to carry or you need to take some side stream from the tower, then it is not possible to use PEG tower. For example, we have example of refinery in which petrol, diesel, lubricating oil, naphtha, kerosene, all are separated from single tray tower. Means from one column you need to separate out 8 to 10 fraction. So these type of fractions are not possible to obtain in PEG tower. So this type of case we need to go for tray tower only. Next, now we will discuss about distillation column design. So there are 10 to 14 steps in distillation column design. First is selection of key component. As we know that there are two components in liquid mixtures and we need to separate those two components, or it may possible that there are more than two components. So from those components, which one is the lighter one and which one is the heavier, that we need to decide. So the light key means the component which is having the higher vapor pressure or lower boiling point, and the heavy key component means a component which is having lower vapor pressure or higher boiling point. Next step is to decide the operating pressure. We will discuss this step in our further video. Next step is step 3, specify the degree of freedom. These particular steps involved when there is multi-component mixture. These steps will come when we have more than 2 or 3 components in the mixture. Next step is determine minimum reflux ratio. As we know that minimum reflux ratio is the ratio at which you need infinite number of trays in your tray tower. Are you getting my point? You need infinite number of trays in case of minimum reflux ratio, which is not possible to place infinite number of trays. So again step 5 comes, which tells us to determine optimum reflux ratio. So optimum reflux ratio is what? At the optimum reflux ratio, you will get the minimum total cost of distillation column. Now this total cost of distillation column comprises of two costs. One is operating cost and another is the fixed cost. But at optimum reflux ratio, the total cost of the distillation column will be minimum. This is the importance of optimum reflux ratio. Next step is to determine theoretical stages. You students might have heard about the McCabe-Thiele method, which considers of graphs various. You might have drawn those graphs including those stages in TXY or PXY diagram. One is operating line, another is equilibrium curve, and you are drawing stages. And if there are 10 stages or 10 steps, then you can say that 10 number of theoretical trays are required for desired separation. So this is the theoretical stages, means theoretically this much number of plates you required for your desired separation. Next step is selection of trays or packing material. Now you have two options. First option is tray tower and the second option is packing tower. In case of tray tower you have selected, then you need to go for the types of tray. One is sieve tray, one is bubble cap tray, one is valve tray, one is Linde tray. So you need to select the best tray for your suitable operation in case of tray tower. And in case of pack tower, there are various types of packing materials like rusting rings, pawl rings, ball saddles, interlock saddle. So these are the various packing materials. So these were the random material. Beside this, regular packing is also available. So we need to consider all those criteria. Next, step 8. Find the tower diameter and pressure drop across the tower. This point we have also discussed in selection criteria of pack tower and tray tower, that if tower diameter is smaller, then we will go for the pack column, and if the tower diameter is higher, then we will go for tray tower. Next step, determine tray efficiency, actual number of tray, and HETP in case of pack tower. So suppose you have used that McCabe-Thiele method and you have found that 10 number of theoretical plates are required for your desired separation. But if it is tray tower, then it is 10 number of tray. Suppose it is pack tower, then what will be the height of packing? Those height of packing you can determine from this HETP, that is height equivalent to theoretical plate. Next step, step number 10, design of liquid distributor, redistributor and packing support. This step number 10 is only applicable to the pack tower. If you select pack tower, then you need to design this liquid distributor, redistributor. This liquid distributor comes on the top of the tower and this redistributor will come at the center of the tower. And packing support means support which will withstand the weight of packing. Next step 11, selection of MOC. MOC is what? Material of construction. Next step, step 12, design of condenser and reboiler. So design of condenser and reboiler is again your chapter number 2 of your syllabus, that is process design of heat exchanger, in which you might have learned this technique or method for designing of condenser and reboiler. Condenser, there are two types, partial condenser and total condenser, and in case of reboiler again there are two types, that is kettle type reboiler and thermosiphon reboiler. Then step number 13 comes, decide control system. So in distillation column you will have 4-5 flow rates. One is feed flow rate, then distillate flow rate, then bottoms product flow rate, then flow rate of cooling medium, then flow rate of heating medium. So you need to control all these flow rate, you need to control temperature, you need to control pressure. So you need a perfect control system for your distillation column design. And the last one is design of support. So design of support means these distillation columns are these small vertical not small but the high vertical towers, and you cannot place it in random place. So you need special types of support which can withstand the load of the vertical tower. So here the 14 steps we have discussed in brief for distillation column design. Next comes the selection of operating pressure. Selection of operating pressure is very much important because it does not depend on the feed mixture, but it depends on the which type of cooling medium you are using. In most of the cases we use cooling water for condensation purpose. So in condenser it is important to condense distillate vapors. So here the bubble point of the distillate is very much important because our cooling water is available from cooling tower at nearly 32 or 35 degrees Celsius. So it is important that your distillate vapor must be 10 to 15 degrees Celsius below cooling water temperature. So it must be near 25 or 20 degrees Celsius. We have mentioned example too. Here we have mentioned acetaldehyde and ethanol example. Distillation of acetaldehyde and ethanol. Now we can see that at 1 atmospheric pressure the boiling point of acetaldehyde is 20 degrees Celsius. Now try to understand that acetaldehyde is our top product, or we can say it is distillate, and its temperature is 20 degrees Celsius approximately, and our cooling water temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. So it is not possible to condense acetaldehyde vapor at this condition. So what option we have available? The only option available is we have to increase the pressure. So we will increase the operating pressure by 3 atmosphere. So now the boiling point of the acetaldehyde will change to 60 degrees Celsius. Now again consider this case. Our water is available at 35 degrees Celsius and now this acetaldehyde is available as 60 degrees Celsius. So now it is possible to condense those acetaldehyde vapor. I hope you are getting my point. Again we are seeing second system in which methyl chloride and chloromethane forms a mixture which we need to separate. Now the methyl chloride is our light component, or we can say our top product, and we want to separate methyl chloride from the top or as a distillate. Now at 1 atmospheric pressure its boiling point is minus 24 degrees Celsius. So it is obvious that we cannot use cooling water. It will not able to condense this methyl chloride vapor. So what we have option, we can increase the pressure to 10 atmosphere and now its boiling point will rise to 47 degrees Celsius. So now it is possible to condense those methyl chloride vapor by using simple cooling water at 35 degrees Celsius. Again system 3 is also defined in which we want to separate ethane from the natural gas. Now the critical temperature of ethane is 32 degrees Celsius. So it will be in vapor phase. And at 30 atmospheric pressure its boiling point is 10 degrees Celsius. So we are increasing pressure to 30 atmosphere, but still its boiling point is around 10 degrees Celsius. So even at this much higher pressure we are not able to condense those ethane. So what option available is, we have to go for some expensive cooling medium like chilled water which is available at 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. So now this will be able to condense ethane vapor from natural gas. Then comes vacuum distillation. This point we have also seen in selection criteria of Peck tower and Trey tower. When we can use vacuum distillation, what is the need of vacuum distillation, why we go for vacuum distillation? Because some mixtures are heat sensitive materials. In many pharma industry, there are some mixture which decomposes or cracks at higher temperature. So you cannot distill those mixture at higher temperature. You need to distill those mixtures at lower temperature. So to prevent thermal decomposition of this type of pharmaceutical product, we need to reduce its boiling point beyond its cracking temperature. So vacuum distillation is particularly used for the heat sensitive materials, just to prevent thermal decomposition of the material. If we use vacuum distillation, then the operating temperature will go down because of the boiling point goes down. Thus, we need cheaper heating medium such as saturated steam. We don't need heating oils or higher types of heating medium. Because of the vacuum distillation, undesirable side reactions also reduces, and it provides safety in handling hazardous reaction also. Now we will see the importance of vacuum distillation using example. Here we have example of monochloroacetic acid and acetic acid. So try to understand, we have a mixture of monochloroacetic acid and acetic acid. Now this monochloroacetic acid is having boiling point of 190 degrees Celsius. I have not mentioned it here, but it is having the boiling point of 190 degrees Celsius, and its thermal decomposition temperature is 120 degrees Celsius. So it is not possible to achieve 190 degrees Celsius for distillation, because its decomposition will occur at 120 degrees Celsius. So you will not have monochloroacetic acid beyond 120 degrees Celsius. It will break into different atoms. So what option we have available? We need to carry out this operation in vacuum. By reducing the pressure to 40 torr, its boiling point will reduce to 109 degrees Celsius. Try to understand, student. Its boiling point was 190 at 1 atmosphere, but at 40 torr, its boiling point is reduced from 190 to 109. 190 થી 109. So this is the beauty of vacuum distillation. And one more advantage I have covered, that is you don't need higher types of heating medium. You can use saturated steam as well. Another example is example 2, separation of ethylene glycol and water. Now ethylene glycol is having boiling point of 197 degrees Celsius at 1 atmospheric pressure. So if we go for 1 atmospheric distillation, you will have to use expensive heating medium, because you cannot use saturated steam above 180 degrees Celsius. It is the limitation of saturated steam, that you have to use it below 180 degrees Celsius. But if we carry out this operation in vacuum, then it is possible to reduce boiling point of ethylene glycol below 170 degrees Celsius. So now you can use saturated steam instead of superheated steam or heating oil. So this way vacuum distillation finds its own advantage and high pressure distillation finds its own advantage. Thank you students for watching this video.